Hello, everyone. This is the July 6th meeting of the Old Astoria Neighborhood Association, and we thank you for joining us. We're looking forward to a great evening. We're going to be beginning with a segment featuring the New York City Ferry system, plus a representative of the Queens Economic Development Corporation. And also, we'll be discussing a program that we all did together on the Astoria waterfront. After that, we'll be joined by Wildflower Studios, Adam Gordon and Alex Kress. Well, they will be explaining a little bit about the new facility that they built in our neighborhood, in our town. And they'll answer questions about that. And then afterwards, we will be joined by Josh Levin and Catherine Nash. Josh is with the Motion Picture Association, and Catherine is with the Scenic Design Union. And we will have discussions concerning the future of the film industry in our neighborhood, which has been a bulwark economically for us and culturally.
I did a quick introduction over there.
So I'd like to start off by introducing first from the New York City Ferry, Layla Musawwir. She's their NYCHA outreach lead with the New York City Ferry. Hello, Layla.
Hello. We got a bit of a teaser of me before.
And I'd also like to bring up Victor Prado, who not only is with the Queens Economic Development Corporation, but he's also our host today. He's been helping out with the technical issues, which are always many and varied. And he'll be joining us also. So I'd like to turn it right over to Layla and Victor. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Richard. Just to give myself, or just to do a brief introduction about myself, my name is Layla. I'm over at NYC Ferry as the NYCHA outreach lead. Super excited to be here. This is my first meeting I'm joining with Old Astoria Neighborhood Association. So I just want to give a few quick updates about the ferry, let y'all know what's been happening on the ferry side of things, and then we'll go into this part of the tour that Victor, Richard, and I hosted a few weeks ago with some folks over from Manhattan. So first and foremost, the ferry has, as I hope everyone knows already, a landing that lets out into Astoria, more specifically lets out into Astoria houses. Something that happened over this past winter is there was a system reworking, so there was a system optimization plan that was released, and the Astoria route was mostly unaffected, or it was completely unaffected, but all other routes were affected, so the major one being with connection over to the Soundview and Rockaway route, that now the Soundview route that runs between the Bronx and Wall Street Pier 11 now extends down to Far Rockaway, Queens. Another major system reworking that happened was the Staten Island route now connects to Bay Ridge. So there's now direct connection between Staten Island and Brooklyn. And so all of that information is available on our website, ferry.nyc. Another big thing is we're at our peak season for ferry riders. So our boats are out more often. They're running more trips. Our summer schedules are posted on our website along with our Rockaway Rocket schedule that leaves from Wall Street Pier 11 and takes you directly down to Far Rockaway, Queens. I believe there's also a boat that leaves from LIC. I would check the website. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's major things going on the ferry front. And yeah, let's get into what we did a few weeks ago, which was really fun. So the major gist is we wanted to do a Old Astoria arts kind of highlight. So we brought, and also incorporate the ferry into that somehow. So what we did is we brought some residents over from NYCHA Homes Houses. Those were residents or participants at the local community center, the Isaac Stanley Community Center. And we took them on the boat from East 90th Street and took them one stop over here to Astoria, and went to a few different museums. So we visited Welling Court, Socrates, and then the Noguchi Museum. For a lot of these participants, it was their first time in Astoria, or it was their first time coming back after many, many years. So we just wanted to highlight that super quick connection between the up East 90th Street and Astoria. It takes like literally less than 5 minutes to get between the two via ferry. So yeah, and then Victor, I don't know if you have any footage that you'd like to share. If not, I have the photos.
Yeah, and just to add my component to this, so as the program manager for the Neighborhood 360 grant that QEDC is in partnership with in SBS, a lot of what my job is for economic development. And so, when we have tourism to Queens, naturally there's money going to be spent there, right? You go to the coffee shop, you grab a bite to eat. So although this was a arts focused tour, economic development, is tied hand in hand with anything, especially that's an in-person event in a geographic location. In this case, it's Old Astoria. And so, a lot of what we did that day was not only to test out the walking tour, especially for a stop that's literally across the river. A lot of the participants were like, they were making jokes on how quick it was. It's like a literal 5 minute, less than 5 minute ferry ride. And how excited they were. They were like, they have access to this like new world that's literally across the river. So all of it was very exciting. I actually do want to show just a little intro video, a more clean, full, mini doc type of video will be ready in the future. But we did want to show just a little introduction and just to kind of capture the energy of everyone. So let's just play that.
I did a quick introduction over there at East 90th, but if Richard, you want to start?
Sure. Hi, I'm Richard Kazami, and I'm with the Old Astoria Neighborhood Association, and we want to thank you to our neighborhood. I appreciate you guys coming, and we appreciate the work that the New York City Ferry is doing, and we also appreciate the various presenters that you will be meeting this afternoon, including Luigi here, who will be our first stop. This area is a very historic neighborhood. It's the Old Astoria because it was the first neighborhood settled, a couple hundred years ago. And, it's right in the middle of, we have Roosevelt Island right over there. We have a lot of different developments and growth going on. It's a big combination of 200-year-old Victorian buildings and brand new towers being put up by the Durst Corporation. So we're very diverse. We also have NYCHA campuses here. There's actually 3 along the waterfront here, including the largest in America, Queensbridge. And we want to welcome you and have a good time. Okay, this is the main thing we want. We want to invite our neighbors to come and enjoy our neighborhood. And you're one of the first groups coming, so you're paving the way.
Excited. Welcome to Astoria. I'm Luigi, Wellington Neighborhood Association, where we work with artists and building owners and the neighbors to put together an open street art 24/7 365 art project. You can come any day or time to see it, but now you're going to have a guided tour. Welcome to Astoria, and if we not any more to do, we'll get started. Yeah. Sweet.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, just to get a little sneak peek to see the energy. The energy was very high. Everyone was super excited to be there. And again, just to thank the ferry and everyone who participated. But it was a great opportunity where, nonprofits, economic development, ferry, the arts, it's kind of multiple partners came together, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and so it was great to have boots on the ground, but also to have such great feedback that everyone just truly had a good time. And so it was a great effort on multiple parties. So I want to thank everyone again. And Richard, back to you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you just have to turn on your camera.
Yeah, I will. Mm-hmm. Okay, back again. Yes. Yeah, listen, this is an initiative. As an association, we've been trying to develop the waterfront area culturally, specifically for many, many years. Starting in 2018, we actually started an initiative to start an arts district down here. It's had its political ups and downs, but we still have it as a goal. So we do hope that eventually this will be a reality. And also, we want to thank so much the ferry system, Layla, especially for being in this event. And frankly, the ferry has supported us since it was It began. As a matter of fact, I remember that we were invited on the first ferry ride out on the Astoria segment with Mayor de Blasio at that time. So that was truly a wonderful trip. And also, Old Astoria Neighborhood Association was one of the main supporters for the initiative to extend the ferry service from Astoria to the Upper East Side. Before it used to end here in Astoria, so getting to the Upper East Side was a very, very long hour and a half trip by subway. But now it's a 5-minute ferry ride. So it's a tremendous asset to the neighborhood. Everything in this neighborhood, culturally and economically, would not exist to the level that exists now without the ferry system. So again, we want to thank the ferry and thank Layla and thank everybody that's involved. It's life-changing for all of us around here. So
thank you so much. Yeah, I was going to say, I was in trouble that day of the tour. With some of the seniors that we brought over, they were like, we just sat down. We thought you were going to take us on a boat ride, because it's so brief, that boat ride, that connection between Astoria and East 90th Street. And then just something else that I wanted to mention before I go is the ferry discount program, which a lot of my role focuses on, and we're always trying to let people know about. So for seniors over 65, folks with disabilities, and fair fare participants, and high school students, the ferry is $1.45. It's a separate enrollment than the Omni card, but it's super easy. It's online. All the information on how to receive that discount is on our website at ferry.nyc. There's a tab that says Ferry Discount Program.
Mm-hmm. Good. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Victor. I'm going to put you back to work as a host. Layla, thank you for joining us. And go back, relax, and I hope you enjoy the football game.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Good night. Okay. I wanted to also mention a few other things before we bring out our next segment. One thing that we've been doing at Old Astoria Neighborhood Association, we've started initiatives working with some of the universities on what they call capstone programs, which are sponsoring research projects for master's students. We're just in the final stages of our most recent one, or actually our first one. It's at Fordham. It's called the Fordham Virtual Summer Internship Program. Our subjects in this particular project are property taxes and the city of Yes, and also the 421A and 45X subsidies for housing. We feel that housing is an extremely important part of affordability, and we want to make sure that from our standpoint, that all the different agencies and people with a stake in this are all working together towards the same goal. That's why, particularly the property taxes in the city of Yes, we want to make sure that they're not working at cross segments. In other words, we want to make sure that they're both supporting each other. So we hope to have that released within the next couple of weeks. We'll be releasing it on our website, and we do hope that it helps positive change. And we look to continuing this program over the next few years. So next, I'd like to bring out, well, first of all, let me introduce the next segment. It'll be on film in the Wildflower Studios. Astoria has been a working film neighborhood for decades. Paramount built its studio complex here in 1920. Kaufman Astoria has hosted generations of productions in Astoria Park, and our streets have appeared again and again and again on stream. To name a few titles: A Bronx Tale, Goodfellas, Serpico, The Taking of Pelham 123, A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints. My favorite, Five Corners, with Jodie Foster, Tim Robbins, and John Turturro, right in my neighborhood. Also in television, Sesame Street, over 30 years, Law and Order, Orange is the New Black, Nurse Jackie, Succession, The Americans, Evil. Astoria has been a nesting place for some of the greatest productions over the last 100 years, and we want to make sure that continues. And one thing, another thing, that Bridges of Spies, Steven Spielberg, was produced right across the street from my house. So to start this film segment, we're going to look inside the newest piece of that story, Wildflower Studios, on our waterfront. So please join me in welcoming Adam Gordon and Alex Kress to walk us through Wildflower Studios.
Thank you for having us.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Richard.
Hi. By the way, I want to mention quickly that Adam is the managing director, and I remember meeting Adam many years ago in a wonderful little Greek pastry shop when he first came to the neighborhood, and it's been a great privilege to work with him over the last, I don't know how many years now has it been? It's probably 7-8 years.
It is.
So yeah. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you for that. And Alex, I've recently met you, but you know, you're a strong part of the operations of our studio, and we want to thank you for contributing to Astoria.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
And our Ton Bakery is still there.
Yeah.
I have the waste to prove it. So maybe I thought what we could do is we're going to spin through a quick couple of slides on the studio. And then I know, Richard, you had a few questions, but I'm happy to talk about anything anyone would like.
Can I interject here very quickly for the audience? If you have
Please.
any questions, okay, well, all you have to do is put them in the Facebook or YouTube chat, and they will appear on our feed. So you can ask questions in real time. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So Wildflower Studios, which is located next to Con Ed in Astoria, you all may have noticed a somewhat large black building looming there, is 765,000 feet. It contains 11 sound stages. You can go to the next slide, Alex. Averaging 17 or 18,000 feet each, 45 feet under the grid, loads of power, and then everything else you need to produce serial TV and movies. So dedicated mill space outside of each sound stage, hair makeup rooms. This is basically a California studio lot gone vertical. I can keep going there. We have offices, really everything. Keep going. We've got a commissary restaurant. We did some work on the waterfront to create something more attractive for the public. And we did this in a sustainable way. This is the most sustainable studio in the world. And all of us who spend time in Astoria would be proud that the sustainability groups from all of the major media companies come to Wildflower to learn, to see how it's done, levels above what it's done anywhere else in Hollywood. Typically, when Hollywood talks about sustainability, they talk about using electric generators, battery generators instead of diesel, and that's important. But we go well beyond it. If you were to think about some of the most important things we do at the studio, we elevated the entire studio by a complete floor. What that did is it gave us a bridge. If another Hurricane Sandy event came through, it could wash into the ground floor where we have parking, wash back out, and we could be filming upstairs and no one would even know. So we created this flood mitigation area. What we also did is create 4.5 acres of parking underneath our building. What that means for all of you is we took 4.5 acres of parking off of the neighborhood where it would have had constant congestion and constant competition with local residents. Instead, we've taken it all out. We secure it. You don't see it. So there's nothing unattractive about it. And we've taken it all off the street. That also gives the people who work there secured parking out of the weather where they're comfortable. That we have all these wonderful Teamsters who come in and they can then turn off their vehicle so it doesn't need to idle and pollute Astoria. They don't need to sit in a cold car. In fact, we've got a Teamsters lounge for them, which is heated and it's got coffee and a bathroom and everything. So we're just in general trying to bring a lot of humanity into the project. We also have 4.5 acres of solar on the roof. We just did as much as we could do really to show leadership and sustainability. And one of the questions that I was asked early on many times is why build such an ambitious building in Astoria, right? Typically those buildings are in Manhattan. And my response to that is, why not Astoria? I mean, I think really Astoria is probably about the most interesting neighborhood in the whole city. And I'm biased, of course, but incredible food and people and diversity and a vibrant street scene. And so we wanted a building which was ambitious and which would become a world-class destination for people filming, which it has already become. Next slide, or we have any more, Alex? So you all know where we are. So basically, you know, a mile-ish from LaGuardia Airport, next to Con Ed, the far end in an industrial area next to the Steinway Piano Factory. So, Richard, what would you like to talk about?
Well, good. As a matter of fact, the first question you already answered, that was regarding sustainability. I know that we're looking forward to the area waterfront access, which I know you've supported too. And we're looking forward to Lester Creek also being cleared out at some point. Who knows? Maybe we'll have kayaking down there too, outside your facility.
We looked at that, by the way, and there's the scientific term is outfall, but the unfortunate reality is it's raw sewage that comes into these areas when there's overflow from the city sewer system in times of heavy rain. So we wanted to bring kayaking there because I think it would be really fun. And at some point, if the city can improve the sewage system, we can have it there because it's a perfect spot.
It is, it's something that I always thought would be great there. That little inlet there is actually quite beautiful. It could be.
Yes.
One thing I also wanted to mention that your personal background says that you're involved with the 100-year plan with the Scripps Institution of Oceanography.
Yes.
And you co-founded the regenerative agricultural operation in Sonoma County in California.
Yeah, I really wanted to be a marine biologist or a field ecologist. I didn't want to go into business, but I didn't have an option because I was very broke. And so I went into business. But I try my best to stay very involved. So I was on the director's cabinet at Scripps Institution of Oceanography for years. I currently sell Japanese Wagyu beef to local restaurants in Northern California and try to do our very best to bring as much sustainability and design thinking into every project that we do in New York City, which is where we're not only based and where I raise my own sons, but also where we do all of our work.
Well, I'd say it's great to see something on that little necklace around Astoria that's primarily filled with power plants, which historically have been polluting, and instead we have a facility that in fact is creating power sustainably. So it's a great thing, and we greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And, Alex, you jump in anytime you want to. This is a couple questions I'm going to ask, okay? Wildflower has been open for several months. For community members who haven't been inside, what does a typical production week look like, roughly? How many people are on site? What does it mean economically for the surrounding neighborhood?
Alex, you want to address that?
Sure. Well, we currently have a couple projects, and we can have anywhere from 200 to 500 people a day, depending on whether they're shooting or not or building. But a typical week typically involves a bunch of different departments of production. That could be Scenic and carpentry, construction department, could be, camera department, and everybody just coming together and working on the stage and different, depending on what phase they are in the production. But, it's really only required for catering to happen when they're filming. So, when they're building and when people are working in the offices, there's a lot of, going out and kind of enjoying a story and going to Dip Mars and getting lunch or ordering lunch in. So I think that it's had a great economic impact on the local businesses.
Thank you. Okay. Next question. Robert De Niro has said on the record that New York's tax incentives are beside the point, that the city itself is the draw. Do you share that view? And what does Wildflower offer a production company that simply cannot be replicated, let's say in Atlanta or Albuquerque or London?
Yes. It's very complex right now. New York State offers the second best tax benefits in the nation, New Jersey being number one. And New Jersey has made long-term deals with Netflix and Paramount, which are continuing to drain a lot of productions out of New York City and elsewhere. And that will continue for a very long time unless New York State is able to provide better tax benefits and draw them back. And under those long-term agreements, it's going to be somewhat sticky. New York City will always attract stars who can choose where they want to film. Most stars can't choose. So if Netflix tells them they got to film in New Mexico to save money or Portugal, they're going to go. But top talent can say they want to go home at night. And Wildflower is designed for them. This is really very high hospitality, very high touch, both everything we have on site, our green rooms, lounges, the way Alex and the team take care of everybody, the quality of the space, the production, but also Astoria being in a safe neighborhood, right? It's not the South Bronx at night because the hours are odd. It's Astoria. And if somebody wants to pop out to Tavernas Eclades and have lunch, that is a real asset. And then if they want to get to LaGuardia Airport, it's a mile away. Or if they live in Brooklyn or live in Manhattan, it's also quite close. That's our competitive edge. And we are crushing places like Atlanta for that reason, because nobody ever wanted to work in Atlanta or Louisiana. They did it for tax reasons. Our tax benefits are now better, and they get to be in New York City and go home at night. And we've seen that in the productions that have filmed here already. So the first major production we did after we opened was Meet the Family 4, which is part of the Meet the Focker series. It's the fourth movie. And frankly, I can't wait. I love all of those. That was starring, and it's been announced, Robert De Niro, Ariana Grande, and Ben Stiller. One of those people, other than Robert, decided to come back for another major production because they love working at Wildflower so much. And then the other person has already recommended business to us. So what we're seeing already, because we're relatively new, is once people work at Wildflower, if they have a choice, they don't want to work anywhere else.
Good. Good. Next question. The very first shoot at Wildflower was a scene from CBS's Elsbeth. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, good. And media reports describe multiple stages booked at the same time. Can you give us a sense of the mix of work features, television, commercials, and whether the new state, well, you already discussed the state tax incentives and why Western Queens, but if you can give us an idea of the mix of what you're doing, that would be great.
So I would say that the majority of our sound stages today are occupied for serial TV. We just wrapped filming on a movie sequel, well known. I don't watch horror movies because I find them terrifying, but if you did, you would love this.
That's a job.
And then one other production. So we have that kind of a mix. I would say, probably 60-40 serial TV to movies today, but that could change.
Good. And also, you came from real
You
estate.
just cut out, Richard.
Oh, I did.
Alex,
Can you hear me
can
now?
you hear Richard?
I can hear Richard.
Now, everybody cut out.
Oh,
Let me do this. Let me dial back in because I can't hear anyone now.
Okay. While Alex, maybe you can. Well, let's see. Why don't we do this? While he's dialing back in, I did have one other question, but we can add that to the panel. Okay. So I'd like to bring out two new members. First, Josh Levin from the Motion Picture Association. Josh is Motion Picture Association's Vice President for State Government Affairs in the Northeast. Before joining the MPA, he spent 15 years in public service, including work with the New York City Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment, the city's first film commission. So, Victor, can you bring out Josh?
Working.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you. Everybody dropped out.
Okay. Is Victor, is Josh available? Uh-huh. I saw a silhouette. Well, while we're waiting for Josh, let me go
Now
through the
everybody
last.
dropped out again.
Hmm.
I could hear, and then my microphone just. Can you hear me now, Alex?
we can hear you. We can hear you.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't hear anything. I'll drop off again.
Okay. Okay. Josh, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Rich? Yes. How are you
Good.
doing, Richard? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. Very
Great.
good. Okay. And also, Victor, can you bring Catherine in, please?
Hello.
Hello. Catherine is with the Scenic Design Union. Okay.
Actually, I want to correct you there. It's called Local 829, United Scenic Artists.
Okay. Very good. Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay. And we have a few questions while Adam gets himself back in, and hopefully I can hear us.
Can you hear me now?
We hear you very well.
Okay, good. It must be somebody from Atlanta bugging my laptop.
Good. Good. Well, why don't we do this? Go here. The last question I was just going to ask you, Adam, before we lost audio. You came from the real estate industry, self-storage, Amazon, logistics, which I also came from logistics too. We've discussed that in the past. Residential design. Building a film studio is a very different business. What convinced you to do this?
I'm still in the real estate business very actively and developing in the city. We're working on electric vehicle fast charging stations. We've got one opening at LaGuardia Airport any day, one at JFK. We did one Maspeth with Tesla. So I'm still active. I think that New York City has always been the home for creatives. It's what makes the city interesting and important. And the opportunity to have a home where artists can bring stories to life was really compelling to me. And so I felt I had the right partners in Robert and Raphael. And Astoria was the right place. We found this site next to Steinway Piano Factory, and we hired and began collaborating with an amazing architect, Bjarke Engels. So all the pieces started falling into place.
Good. Okay, now we're going to have a little panel discussion. This is the first question for the full panel. Western Queens has been a filmmaking community for more than 100 years, from Paramount's original Astoria studio in 1920 to Kaufman Astoria and now Wildflower on the waterfront. With Wildflower now open and active, what does this new chapter mean for the neighborhood as a production hub? And anybody want to jump in? Maybe Josh?
Oh, sure. Well, first of all, thanks, Richard, and to OANA, for having us, and giving the opportunity to speak with everyone. I mean, I think, New York has, with Western Queens, great soundstage infrastructure that has close, proximity and access to Manhattan, and other, parts of Queens. It has the two airports, easily accessible, and then just a lot of vendors in the community. Not to mention, when you're shooting, and a lot of the studios think of like the proximity to everything and the time it takes to get folks from set, from on location or a soundstage, and so that gives Queens a leg up with the bridge crossings and tunnel crossings. So I think that, and then just the concentration, it becomes a hub of activity, stretching from Astoria in the north down to northern Brooklyn, and between Community Board 1 in Brooklyn and Community Boards 1 and 2 in Queens, you have some of the highest concentration of film permit activity as well.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, and I don't want to be controversial, but I'm gonna be what I think accurate. 5 to 10 years from now, Kaufman and Silver Cup likely will not be there. That's my view. Mm-hmm. I think that they are not competitive in terms of their offerings relative to new sound stages that have been built. Steiner, East End, Blackstone in the city, us, and occupancy is reflective of that already. And I think they're great sites for other uses, particularly Kaufman Astoria, right in the middle of Astoria. And my bet would be they will be repurposed for other uses.
Actually, they may have actually had the same thought, considering they were very involved, a partner in the Innovation Queens rezonings. And I happened to also be on the zoning board at that time and the community board. Yep. And at this point, I would say it's on a hard hold, but you never know what the future holds. But I know that they are looking about that property as future housing. So.
Yeah, and the original owners, Suna and Kaufman sold, right? Yes, so they're to funds, and both of those funds are kind of in trouble. So that also may precipitate the change happening more quickly.
Mm-hmm. How about Catherine? You're nodding your head a lot, so maybe I'm sure you have something good to say on this.
Well, certainly we bring a lot of business to the different vendors, hotels, et cetera, because the actors and some of the crew has to stay overnight if you're shooting late at night. And there's something called that the producers provide, a safety hotel or a safety ride, which also uses Uber and things like that. So, and it's also an established neighborhood. It's been shooting film and television for many, many, many years. And the vendors in Manhattan that our local use know how to get to Queens. There's no issue there, so it's familiar territory. Also, I wanted to say one other thing in terms of like shooting in the city. The city has wonderful architecture, and you can't capture that any place else.
Yes.
You can't, you know, a lot of times on set, you know, as scenic artists, we wind up reproducing pre-war buildings, et cetera, and it really holds that New York flavor. And even though they've tried to go to Canada at times to shoot New York, you can always tell it's Canada. And there's only one New York. So
There's only, there's no backlot like it, correct?
nope.
Good. Good. All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to ask some individual questions of some of our new members on the panel, and then we'll bring everybody back again for a few questions for the whole panel. I'd like to bring up Josh now first. Okay, Josh. Okay, first of all, IndieWire and MOME reported earlier this year that the New York City film and TV production permits surged from 297 in February to 627 in May of 2026, more than doubling in 3 months. Is New York's recovery real and durable, or are we seeing some sort of short-term bounce?
I think we're seeing the film tax credit and the enhancements really coming to life. I think, you know, you're continuing to see investment in New York, and so, like, you know, in the case of Wildflower and Adam's and Alex's work there, you know, getting beautiful soundstage infrastructure that is competitive with the rest of the globe. You know, and I think really what it's telling too is there's an investment from the city. You know, this mayor and the mayor's office of media entertainment with the new commissioner, Rafael Espinal, are really trying to you know, cut the red tape that continues to be a challenge in New York. And you know, production schedules do not operate in the same time frame as city bureaucracy, and so MOME and the city agencies and in lockstep with you know, Deputy Mayor for Economic Justice Julie Sue, you know, really showcasing the city as a potential hub for, as one can note, you know, a very union focused industry with above living wages. So it's very important, I think, from an economic justice standpoint too, that, you know, we keep and the city keeps expanding their opportunities for film production.
Good. In addition, nationally, employment in motion picture and video production is still below its peaks. From your perspective, is that temporary post-strike correction, or is it an industry that's permanently restructuring the lower level?
I think it's really hard to say. It's a little bit of everything. You know, I think it's the golden age of television had a second you know, round in terms of like 2015 to 2022, when you had a huge burst of activity, and that included New York State and New York City, where in some sound stages were, you know, almost 99% occupancy, which is driving a lot of the development today. And I think there's some smart investments, and then there's just a lot of other you know, sort of what Adam alluded to, you know, and so I think I think, you know, you're really going to see an industry that continues to evolve because it has been around for over a century. The MPA is over 100-year-old organization. Member companies are, you know, the ones that you all know, like Disney, Amazon, Disney and Paramount. But then there's other newer companies like Amazon and Netflix. And I think you know, the medium is the changing you know, way that movies and television and streaming have been showcased. And I think you know, this industry is resilient, and it has evolved and gone through video cassettes, Betamax, television, broadcast cable, you know, different movie subscription programs and new large format movie screens. So I think you know, the medium will continue to change, but we'll continue telling these stories, and it's I think it's a credit to the people working behind the camera that get, and in front of the camera, that get to bring these stories to life. That is the special part of film, television, and streaming.
Good. And the next question, this is already alluded to by Adam a bit, but New York has expanded its film tax credit to $800 million a year with bonus provisions that will bring incentives close to 40% of qualified costs, meaning a production spending $10 million on a New York crew, facilities, and services could receive up to $4 million back as a refundable tax credit from the state. And there's also a new $100 million independent film credit, which goes directly to producers. And reopens for applications. That does on July 13th, a week from now. Is New York's incentive package now truly competitive, or production still choosing other destinations for reasons beyond the credit, whether it's Georgia, Jersey, Canada, etc.? Or, yeah, Jersey especially, from what I heard from Adam. Josh?
Sure. I think New York has traditionally been a hub of activity. You know, people want to come here and be here, and the credit was really something that has evolved over the past several decades. New Jersey has a lot of does not have as much a soundstage space at the moment, and they are developing, especially the larger projects out there and with the studio partners. I think New York, there's certain things that aren't available, and New Jersey and the other places it is. But I think we have to just be mindful that New York State is still overwhelmingly popular, and the $800 million is, you know, fully utilized every year. And I think you know, there's always work to be done in sort of just, you know, creating those opportunities as the television and streaming and movie landscape continues to change. You know, to have those options available, you know, as different places evolve, and like I was alluding to earlier, the formats and how people are, you know, the consumer are out there watching these different productions.
Yeah. Here's a question that's not just this industry, but all industries in general. SAG-AFTRA recently ratified a 4-year contract with strong AI provisions for performers, including requirements that producers demonstrate significant added value before using synthetic performers. From the MPA's point of view, is this framework a general protection, or is it likely to be overtaken by technology?
I mean, I can't comment, you know, specifically on like the Alliance for Motion Picture Television Producers contract with SAG, and the unions. A lot of different unions. They always come prepared to the bargaining table. You know, AI is very much a conversation that has been going on for you know, the past few negotiation periods. And you know, there's a lot of areas we can agree on, because we're talking about you know, people's image and likeness, just like we're talking about intellectual property. And so we've worked on right of publicity legislation, and I think oftentimes even as we negotiate, and there was you know, 4 years agreement for SAG, DGA, and WGA. And you know, this is a heavily unionized industry. The AMPTP negotiates close to 80 contracts, and those are on, you know, a multi-year basis. And so I think you know, we've always said that the MPA, you know, part of the AMPTP, the member companies are, and negotiate on that you know, there's a lot of human element in production, and will remain so. And so I think it's always viewed in our way as a tool for a lot of people out there in the industry. And so I think we'll continue to see the conversations. That's why there's contracts every few years, and that's why there's legislation that's statutorily you know, put into law in New York, California, and other states.
Thanks. Okay, those are the questions I have for you. I'd like to bring up Catherine now. Okay, Catherine, again, she represents Scenic designers, art directors, set decorators, costume designers, and other, I guess what they call below the line creative artisans, if that's the right terminology.
Well, well, the production designers are above the line, actually. But yes, we are known as below the line.
Good. First question for your members, art directors, scenic designers, etc. What has the job market actually felt like in New York since the strike? Are people working again, or is the crisis still very real on the ground?
Well, this spring, the business has started to pick up, which has been great because it was incredibly slow right after the strikes and everything. And there was also talk that the business itself was self-correcting because they had produced an enormous amount of content before the strikes. So it was kind of, finding its own balance and seeing what the industry really needs to be. So I expect that probably will continue to go on, but it has been very, very slow. And, a lot of people retired, or some even left the industry, or they were working in Atlanta because that's where the business was. And our designers generally don't like working in Atlanta. They very much would prefer to work in New York, with New York crews. So.
As on a personal note, my sister is a member of this union. This is how I contacted you in the first place. And I think the last job that she had, she hasn't been that active, but I think 2 or 3 weeks into the shoot, they moved the whole production to South America. And this is in the middle of a shoot. So that must be, are there protections against anything like that? Or not really?
No, there aren't. And what we've been noticing, my local's been noticing is that there's been an enormous amount of productions going to England, where labor is cheaper and they have universal health care. So it is a lot cheaper for, the producers. In one sense, I can't blame them with that, but
And also,
hopefully they'll come back. I'm sorry,
also,
Adam.
Yeah, you're also working in English. So it's very, very attractive because it's considerably less costly than America, but we're not dealing with any language barriers.
Yeah.
Good point.
And they have talent there too,
Yes,
So,
a lot.
yes, exactly.
And wonderful sound stages.
Good.
Yep.
Next question I had was your union, below the line workers, did not strike in 2023, but they suffered the losses when the production shut down. And I guess this goes back to the question I had before. Are there any protections or mechanisms for craft unions when they go dark because of strikes from other unions?
Our local itself does not have a strike fund. Some locals do, but we do not have that established. We do have, there is a vehicle for hardship grants that's provided by the Entertainment Community Fund that, used to be the Actors Fund actually, but now it's a big umbrella for other people. And if you are going through a very hard time, you can apply for that. And, they'll want to see your bank statements, et cetera, but they will provide money and help and food and counseling, so it is a valuable resource that we have.
Last question here. For a young person in this audience, maybe a recent graduate of one of our great art institutions like Parsons, Pratt, or the School of Visual Arts, Cooper Union, FIT, who has a passion for painting, scenic art, scenic design, etc., and wants to bring those skills to film and television, what is the actual pathway in the United Scenic Artists Local 829? What do they need to do? What does union membership mean for their livelihood and craft?
Okay. Well, they need to go to the website first. And on the website, we have all our exams are listed there. And now even we are starting to put in some questions about and information about what you'll be tested on. So it's not this black box that, oh my God, what is going to be required of me? We're actually putting it up there to make it much more friendly to new candidates. And one of the main advantages of being in a union, especially a union of our age, it's 125 years, is that you learn things, from greater people than you when you first come in. Everybody's willing to show you the ropes because your success is our success as a local. And we want to make sure that we provide a great service to the producers, that they want to come back for more, So we do our part that way. And, in terms of like FIT, the costume design exam is there. Every single craft is listed on our website. And they can call the office too. The phone number's there too. So, yes. In terms of being a scenic artist, there are, I think, 4 different exam paths. Scenic designers, they have 3 different exams. So, it does get into specificity and things like that. Lighting designers are now breaking into television, actually. A29 is negotiating a new contract for them as well. So, yeah, it's happening. And that's
Well, there's New York City, there's no greater source for artists. I'm in a different field, but I'm a professional musician by trade. So I've been through some similar lifestyles. And it is interesting, the gig economy, because I spent my whole life not knowing where my next job was coming from, but they always somehow appeared. So I'm still going.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good. Let's see. What I'd like to bring up now is the full panel. I have 3 more questions to ask of the full panel. So anybody can jump in, and then we'll see if we can get different comments from different people. New York City is a magnet for the next generation of filmmakers, designers, and performers, from students at places like NYCHA or the Lee Strasberg Institute. There are people who moved here from all over the world with no formal school connection, just talent and ambition. What specific practical steps would you recommend to somebody in that position, whether they want to direct, design, act, or work in the trades, to get their first real job, plug into unions or professional networks, and if they choose Western Queens as their base, connect with opportunities that exist here?
I mean, I'll jump in. That's a broad range of different jobs, and there are a lot of different directions you could go. But some advice that I was given, which I implemented to a degree, was become a production assistant in every department. Just learn every department, especially if you want to produce. You really should know like what each person in every department does and what their needs are. And that has helped me tremendously here at Wildflower. I know like kind of what wardrobe needs. I know what Scenic needs. I know what all the different departments. So I think just to get a feel for, and also just see what you like. So I think that's some advice worth following, which I did.
Yeah. Anyone else have a comment on that?
I mean, I think that it's both for the film school types who are graduating in New York and obviously beyond, but also there's a lot of great programs that you don't have to necessarily go to film school to tap into in New York City. The Made in New York production assistant and post-production assistant program that are put on by Brooklyn Workforce Innovation at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. There's a new film school in Queens, the Motion Picture High School. There's Real Works and Ghetto Film School, and the state has programs through the various SUNY schools like LaGuardia Community College and Lehman College, that really offer people a first glance into how production works, and provides a boot camp of sorts to get people ready. And I think that speaks to whether you went to film school or you went to one of these programs that are for people looking to break into the industry. It's really that dedication of showing up early and on time, working long days, and always saying, what more can I do? I think it applies. It's a lot to life, but particularly in production, I haven't worked on production, but it's a constant refrain I hear. And if you're willing to do those, a lot of these jobs are available to folks without the similar journeyman requirements in a union like that you might have with an electrician or a plumber, or the other skilled trades, because it's very much like an on-the-job learning, and it's something that you, working with everybody, you become a trusted partner in getting this one singular project done. That a lot of challenges come up over and over again, and dealing with the city and state and tax credit side, production side, policy. I can hear, I've heard it time and again, and I'm sure the folks of 829 and whatnot have been in pinch situations, and it's really about who you are, that you put the best you put forward.
Speaking of that, Alex, a quick question: how does one go about becoming a production assistant? Now that you said that that's the best path, how do you get there?
Yeah, it's a great question. A lot of the industry is like who of course, but if you go to the mayor's office, I think that I used to do this. There's a list of production shooting in the city, and you can inquire the production where the production office is, and send them an email with a resume and a cover letter. I had the fortunate opportunity to go to grad school and film school, but there was a certain point I was between jobs, and I showed up at sets and would meet the location manager or somebody. And so, luckily we live in a city that there are a lot of projects shooting. I went for lunch today, and there was just another project filming right down the block. So yeah, there are many ways to kind of get in the door.
One other question I'd like to bring up, we already discussed it a bit with Josh, but I'd like to get Adam and Catherine's and Alex's point of view on this, and that is AI. Number one, Adam, did you have AI in mind when you designed your facility? Is it something that you designed to work in conjunction with it, or is it something that's going to be diametrically opposed to it? So how did you actually incorporate that within your design?
Looking at Wildflower, it's a place that embraces the future and embraces technology and welcomes whatever's coming next. So I consider us technology agnostic. What we specialize really in is giving creatives tools, whatever those tools are. And I think what Catherine and her colleagues do so well is irreplaceable. And so what we want to do is give them the best setting so that they can express themselves creatively within a production. But we always thought about AI. We always thought about things that are post AI. We think about green screens because there's no sense fighting something which is inevitable. And so really the question is not whether it's coming, but how do we embrace it to actually add to the creative output? And so that's sort of how we frame everything in the way that we work. Because this notion that you're going to stop AI or you're not going to use green screens, this is not going to happen. And all that really does is push away productions because they know that they can go to a place that will embrace it, that is more technologically friendly.
From a personal standpoint, I went through the same thing as a musician, big time, okay? And I remember back 25, 30 years ago, recording little clips for people and finding out years later that those clips, which I got hardly paid for, are all of a sudden the basis of, synthetic sounds. You know, so I've seen this quite a bit. I've done the best I can to, get through it, and it's mostly from live performance because still AI and synth cannot compete with actually a live performance. So this is what we still have as far as the music industry. Catherine, what about you on that question? And obviously, nobody's going to be more affected than the trades in this. So, what is your opinion on this?
Well, I was at the last AMPTP negotiations, and the main consideration for the strike was about AI for the writers and for the actors. And we come later on in the negotiation.
I don't know if you should.
We're just about the last one, you know. But what we do, because they do pattern bargaining, so we basically went and framed it exactly the same, except for our crafts, you know, for the provisions and protections that they gave to the actors. And, you know, so we use it for our designers, we use it for our costume designers as well. And we know it's here. And also for graphics, for our computer graphic artists. And we are more than willing to embrace it as a tool, but we need to be employed using it. That's like the stipulation there, you know. And that came up, and it's in our contract now, and I'm sure the next cycle, which we're about to go into, it'll come up again, and we'll be tweaking it here and there as we do every 3 years. That's when our contract generally comes up.
Well, as we know, it's going to be part of all society. A lot of changes are coming. Listen, I have one last question, but before I bring it up, I want to thank everybody for joining us. It's been great having you. This is such an important subject for our neighborhood. I don't know, other than good restaurants, I think Astoria is mostly known for its film work. And, we're glad to see that the tradition is being kept alive, especially with people like Adam and also Josh, supporting this industry. It's very, very important. I know that you have a big background with the mayor's office and now with the association. So anything that we can do as a civic association to help support this, please let us know too. Okay, it's a two-way street here.
Look, one thing that I would say, Astoria embraces us, and you feel it on a daily basis. When you go to the restaurants, they welcome you. When I want a quick bite, I go to the souvlaki lady and I get my chicken souvlaki, right? Or I go to Arton on the way. And there's a warmth to the neighborhood, which is so palpable. And it's really meaningful to everybody that works at the studio. And it's never lost on me as a New Yorker, because not every neighborhood is like that at all. But it's just a very special place, and I feel, super blessed that we were able to find a home for Wildflower there.
Well, that's why I moved here in 1985 and stuck around.
Yeah.
The last question is,
I just wanted to say one thing in terms of Wildflower, and you've also found a home for the show Severance, and
Yes.
I have been on Severance 1 and 2.
Oh, amazing.
Which was at York Studios in the South Bronx, and you could not go out there. It was not in a nice neighborhood where Astoria,
it's scary.
Yes.
It's literally scary.
Yeah. And so it's wonderful that it's moved there. So
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, the last question for everybody, and I hope you each can answer. Western Queens has been making films and television for more than 100 years. Give us your single boldest prediction. What does the neighborhood look like as a production community in 2031, 5 years from now? You can put it in one of those prediction markets right now, right? You know that they're Because you can bet on things now too, like that.
Everybody seems to be speechless. I guess I'll go first. I mean, I think New York City is still going to be a draw. It's still going to have a film tax credit. New Jersey is still going to be a great neighbor, and the unions are still going to be out there working. And I think they'll see, because the proximity to Manhattan, people come to New York, they want to point a camera and touch and capture that vibrancy on screen. And I think, to an earlier point, there's about the AI discussion. I think there's going to be, personally speaking, a lot of individuals who want to see productions that are real and tangible. And so they'll look for the producer, the director, those creators that focus on that, and New York will be part of that storyline. And I think it'll continue to drive economic activity, which is always has done, whether it's boots on the ground, cast and crew, or the local vendors, as well as just the residual tourism value that you get showcasing all these sights and sounds of the city, taking snapshots of the past, present, and future that really capture people's imagination. So I think that the MPA and their member companies and all the people out there in the film and production industry love to tell stories and be part of those stories. So I think 5 years is a little easier than 50 years, but I think we'll still be telling these stories, and it's going to be an exciting one for New York.
Yeah, I think it was really well said. But I think what we have going for us in New York is the ultimate partnership. We have the tax benefits, the crews, the cast, the backdrop of the city, the culinary scene, the vibrancy. I think putting all that together really is our asset. It's not one thing, it's that we have everything, and no place else is like it. And I think that's always going to draw creatives to come here and tell their stories.
Alex?
Oh, I mean, I agree. I don't know what more I could add, except that I think that production's not going anywhere. I mean, AI is a tool. There are many tools. There will be some changes. I think right now we're seeing a lot in more in the VFX and CGI arena, but they're still going to need sound stages. They're still going to need carpenters. They're still going to need people to paint. So it's I'm very bullish on production and overall in New York.
And Catherine?
I think we're going to be busy. That's what I think in 5 years. I really do. Because even though now we're experiencing people filming, in Europe, et cetera, a lot of actors and a lot of the talent live in New York too. And they're going to want to come back home and be home. So, and everything is cyclical too. It ebbs and flows, this business. And I have a feeling we'll find our rhythm and we will be busy. So
Good. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. It's been a great session. It's been informative and positive outlook. Astoria, like I said, is a great place. My job took me all over the world, but you know what? When I had to choose the place I'm going to base myself and live, it's Astoria. It is that village in the middle of the city that we've all come to really appreciate. I'd like to thank Layla Musawwir from the New York City Ferry and Victor Prado from the Queens Economic Development Corporation for joining us today. And I'd also like to again thank Alex Kress and Adam Gordon from Wildflower, Catherine Nash from 829 ERB, and Josh from the Motion Picture Association. Thank you so much for joining us. And two things, everybody have a great summer. And if you're into it, we made it. We finished before the game starts. So I think it's well done.
No surprise, Richard.
Okay.
Good job.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Okay.